Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Shinmatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto Hyabhadrani Vidunoti Suhritsatam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, Text 51 and 52. Atmamayam samavishya soham gunamayim dvija srijan rakshan haran vishvam dadre samnyam kriyochitam. Atmamayam samavishya soham gunamayim dvija srijan rakshan haran vishvam dadre samnyam kriyochitam. Atmamayam samavishya soham gunamayim dvija Srijan Rakshan Haran Vishwam Dadre Samnyam Kriyochitam. Synonyms: Atma Mayam, my energy, Samavishya, having entered, Saha, myself, Aham, I, Gunamayim, composed of modes of material nature, Dvija, O twice born Daksha, Srijan, creating, Rakshan, maintaining, Haram, annihilating, Vishwam, the cosmic manifestation, Dadre, I caused to be born, Samnyam, a name, Kriya Uchitam, according to the activity. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The Lord continued, My dear Daksha, Dvija, I am the original personality of Godhead, but in order to create, maintain, annihilate this cosmic manifestation, I act through my material energy, and according to the different grades of activity, my representations are differently named. Purport. As explained in the Bhagavad Gita 7.5, Jiva Bhutam Mahabaho, the whole world is energy released from the Supreme Source, the personality of Godhead, who, it is further stated in the Bhagavad Gita, acts in superior energies and inferior energies. The superior energy is the living entity, who is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. As part and parcels, the living entities are not different from this Supreme Lord. The energy emanated from Him is not different from Him, but in the actual activity of this material world, the living entity is under the different qualities of material energy and in different forms. There are 8.4 million life forms. The same living entity acts under the influence of different qualities of material nature. The entities have different bodies, but originally, in the beginning of creation, Lord Vishnu is alone. For the purpose of creation, Brahma is manifested, and for annihilation, there is Lord Shiva. As far as the supreme spiritual entrance into the material world is concerned, all beings are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, but under the covering of different material qualities, they have different names. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are qualitative incarnations of Vishnu as Guna avatars, and Vishnu with them accepts control of the quality of goodness. Therefore, he is also a qualitative incarnation like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Actually, the different names exist for different directions, otherwise, the origin is one only. 4752. तस्मिन् ब्रह्मण्यद्वितीये केवले परमात्मनि ब्रह्मरुद्रौ च भूतानि वेदेनाज्ञोऽनुपश्यति तस्मिन् ब्रह्मण्यद्वितीये केवले परमात्मनि ब्रह्मरुद्रौ च भूतानि वेदेज्ञोऽनुपश्यति तस्मिन् ब्रह्मण्य अद्वितीये केवले परमात्मनि ब्रह्मरुद्रौ च भूतानि वेद्ज्ञो अनुपश्यति. Synonyms: Tasmin, him, Brahmani, the supreme Brahman, Advitiye, without a second, Kevale, being one, Parama Atmani, the supreme super soul, Brahma Rudrav, both Brahma and Shiva, Cha, and Bhutani, the living entities, Bedena, with separation, Ajnaha, one who is not properly conversant, Anupashyati, thinks. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The Lord continued, one who is not in proper knowledge thinks that demigods like Brahma and Shiva are independent, or he even thinks that living entities are independent. The living entities, including Brahma, are not independently separated, but are counted within the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord, being the Super Soul in every living entity, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, is directing everyone in activities of material modes of nature. No one can act independently of the sanction of the Lord, and therefore, indirectly, no one is different from the Supreme Person, certainly not Brahma and Rudra, who are incarnations of the material nature's mode of passion and ignorance. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश धारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. I humbly bow down to all the assembled Vaishnavas and thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me an opportunity to purify myself. So for today, we are in the fourth canto, seventh chapter, text 51 and 52. Just leading up to this verse, Lord Daksha has performed the sacrifice, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared, and the Supreme Lord is speaking to Daksha. And in the previous verse, yesterday's verse, it was discussed how Lord Vishnu mentioned that he is non-different from Brahma and Shiva. So in the same context, here in the 51st verse, Lord says that I am the original personality of Godhead, but in order to maintain and annihilate this cosmic manifestation, I act through my material energy, and according to the different grades of activity, my representations are differently named. So this, if somebody doesn't have the right understanding, and without reading Srila Prabhupada's purports or Prabhupada's explanation to this, we might think the two verses, the one which we discussed yesterday and the one here, are contradictory, because Krishna says that Brahma and Shiva are non-different from him, and now here he says that they take different roles for different activities, but they are representations and not and he is the source, right? So this is contradictory, and anything related to Supreme Personality of Godhead is divyam, and it's not easy for us to understand without the help of the spiritual master. So that's why it said Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yoveti Tattvataha Taktya Devam Punarjanma Naiti Mameti. So Arjuna. So if one understands the birth and activities of Supreme Personality of Godhead to be transcendental, then one is situated in the proper knowledge and one will not be reborn. So that's the guarantee Lord Sri Krishna gives in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So even here, even Arjuna, while he was hearing the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Vyamisreneva Vakyena Buddhi Mohe Shivame. Because of you giving me very contradictory statements, I am not able to be situated in the proper knowledge. So please explain it to me, is what Arjuna asked Krishna. So even here we are in a contradictory situation. So Krishna here clarifies. He says that Atma Mayam, by his own will, he creates everything, right? So we have so many verses. We have two verses which came to my mind was the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita and the first verse from the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So in the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattas sarvam pravattate iti matva bhajante mam bhuta bhava samanvita. So he says, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo. I am the source of everything. Mattas sarvam pravartate. From me comes everything else. Iti madva bhajante mam bhuta bhava samanvita. A person who thus renders devotional service unto me, know with this understanding, he is considered to be in knowledge. So this is what Krishna says, right? So it's very difficult to understand like how Krishna can be the source of everything, right? So this is this verse, especially the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita and the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, which we will discuss, are actually used to refute the Mayavadi principle, where it's said that everything is one and ultimately everything becomes one, and there is no existence of individual spirit soul, right? So that's the concept of Mayavadi, and everything is covered by Maya, and Maya is so powerful that we are covered by this knowledge. And once, because of our own effort, if we get past this Maya, then we will be able to merge with the Supreme. So that's the overall Mayavadi concept. But here, Krishna is very clearly stating that Aham Sarvasya Prabhuvo Mattas Sarvam Pravartate. So when nothing existed, Krishna was the source. And similarly, in the Shloki Bhagavatam, it is said, Aham yeveshamevagre nanyad yat sad asat param Paschad yat aham etacche Yovasishyeta sosmyaham. So Krishna says, Aham evasam evagre. Aham eva asam. I am the only truth which existed. And eva agre. And the beginning, I am the only one who existed. Nanyat yet sad asat param. There is nothing which is, there is no truth which is beyond me. So Krishna is the supreme truth. And then he says, Paschat yet aham etache. Whatever you see in this material world, anything you see moving, anything which is a non-living, living, everything is Krishna himself. Paschat etat aham etache. And yovasishyeta sosmyaham. So anything which remains at the end of the cosmic dissolution is going to be me as well. So this gives the entire gamut of Krishna's power, right? Krishna is everything. And it's very difficult for us to understand because we are put into this material creation. We have our own conceptions of reality. So the overall reality of Krishna being the source is so far removed from us, so that we'll have to understand just by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, reading the commentaries of acharyas, previous acharyas, to just give ourselves this knowledge that Krishna is everything. And as we gradually progress in the path of bhakti, this knowledge becomes self-evident. So that's what we read from Rishi Rupa Goswami's instructions, right? So, but this concept of Krishna being the source and we being the part and parcel of Krishna is the sum and substance of these two verses. So what it says is, even though, it is explained in the context with Brahma and Shiva, but Brahma and Shiva are non different from Krishna in one sense, but in one sense they are considered to be the different, and also they have been created for this purpose of cosmic manifestation. So Brahma is created for the purpose of creation and Rudra is created for the purpose of annihilation. So in one sense they are Krishna's energy, but in another sense they are also different because they act in this material world for the purpose of cosmic manifestation, and that's explained as guna avatars, because Brahma is in the mode of passion, because we need passion to create anything, and then Rudra is in the mode of ignorance, because you need that mode to actually dissolute and annihilate everything. So there are multiple instances in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam where the same point is stressed. So I just got reminded of a couple of points. I'll just discuss them. So in the prayers of Gajendra, Gajendra says, Yosmat parasmat cha para tam prapadhye swayam bhuvam yasvatmanidam nijamaya क्वचित् विभातं क्वचतत्तिरोहितं अविद्ददृक्साक्षुभयं तदीक्षते स आत्ममूलो वतु paratmara. Sa Atmamulo Vatumam Paratpara. So Gajendra prays, you are the source of everything. Atmamula Vatu, and protect me, and you are Paratpara, you're supreme, and you're beyond everything in this world. And he says, yes, Atma Needam, because similarly to this verse, it's said here that Atma Mayam Samavishya. So Krishna, because of his own internal potency, has entered into this material world. So it is said, yes, Atmanidam Nijamaya Arpitam. So this world appears real because Krishna has entered. Nijamaya Arpitam, Kvachit Vibhatam, Kvachitat Tirohitam. So this world is dissoluted and then created. So at sometimes it appears as it is true, it is living, and sometimes it appears as if it is gone. Kvachitit Tirohitam. Avidya Drik Sakshi Ubayam Tat Ikshate. So Krishna is apart from this creation. He sees Avidya Drik. He is completely cognizant of what's happening, and Tat Ubayam Tat Ikshate. So he is the one who helps in this material world and the material manifestation, and he is constantly he is witnessing what is happening in this material world. Tat Ikshate Sa Atmamulo Vatumam Paratpara. So, so that's the mood which Gajendra is praying towards, and he's saying that Krishna is the source of everything. So similarly, we have another verse from Srimad Bhagavad Gita where it is said, Krishna himself says that Gama Vishasya Bhutani Dharayam Aham Ojasa Pushnami Chaushadi Sarva Somabhutparasatmakam. So he says in chapter 15, he says everything, how Krishna is so great and how he is the one who is the source for everything. He says that I maintain the planets. He says that He is the one who gives light to the moon and by which the vegetables are grown. He is the light of the sun. All these are explained by Krishna just to give us this understanding that Krishna is the source of everything. And in the same 15th chapter, Krishna says, Dvav imau purushav loke charas chakshara evacha charas sarvani bhutani kutastha akshara uchyate. So he says there are two things. One is charas and then aksharas. So sharas are called fallible. So the one which are fallible are prone to make mistakes and prone to fall down, and aksharas are considered infallible, and these are nitya suris in the spiritual world. So there are two dvamam purusholoke charashtakshare sharas sarvani bhutani kutastha akshara uchyate. And then he says uttama purushatva anyah paramatma udahritah yo lokatrayam abhishya vibharti avyaya ishwarah. So besides these there is this uttama purusha called paramatma, and that paramatma is there in everybody's heart. So that is the second localized aspect of Krishna. And he goes on to say, Yasmak Sharamatitoham Aksharat Abhichottamah Atosmi Loke Vedecha Pratitah Purushottamah. So he says, I am even beyond this Paramatma concept. There is this Aksharat Abhichottamah. Atosmi Loke, that is the one which is glorified in the Vedas as Pratitah Purushottamah. So I am glorified in the Vedas as Purushottama. So I am beyond the Paramatma concept. I am beyond the Shara Aksharas, and that is his Krishna's position. So it's such a high because nothing exists beyond Krishna, and that's the point which is being mentioned here in this verses 51 and 52. Where Krishna draws this parallel where he says that I am non-different from both Rudra and Shiva, but at the same time they are just my energies. So that goes on to say how great, how the potential or the greatness of Krishna. So that's the one we should appreciate as a part of this verse, is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes we read this word saying that Supreme Personality of Godhead, but just to understand the magnitude of it, we can dwell about all these different things to understand how great Krishna is, and that gives us that appreciation. And with that mood, we'll be able to relate with Krishna better, right? So those are some of the points I could gather on this topic. And in the last verse, Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says here that no one can act independently of the sanction of the Lord, and therefore indirectly no one is different from the Supreme Person. Certainly not Brahma, Rudra, who are incarnations of the material modes of passion and ignorance. So one thing to drive home here is, if this is true for Gunavatars like Brahma and Shiva, who are the topmost in this material world, right? And close to the Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are the topmost in this material world. And if they are also considered to be part of Krishna's energy, then we should appreciate how great Krishna is, and this gives us some insight into the glories of the position of Krishna. So these are two verses which helps us to understand that Krishna's position is far superior to any demigod's position, and he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is explained in the Vedas. There are multiple instances in Ishopanishad where Krishna says, I am the Supreme. And for example, it says, Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. So Krishna is the complete, and anything which is in this material world we see is actually energies of Krishna, and we as living entities are also part and parcels of Krishna. And although we are qualitatively same but quantitatively different, so that is the overall sum and substance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, which is Achintya Beda Beda Tattva, where there is simultaneously where we are same and also different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this gives us an opportunity to appreciate. And this reminds me of Kunti Maharani's prayers. She says, Antar Bahir Avastitam. So Krishna exists both within and without, but na lakshase muda drisha nato natya daroyata. But we are not able to appreciate Krishna's glory because we are so bound to this material conception of life. And so the only way out of this is to pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead to give us the right understanding, and also associate with the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And association means taking their association with hearing to their lectures and being more connected to the message of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So those are some of the points I could